everyone, I'm Chloe. I'm the social media specialist here at the Memo, and I'm here with Dr. Natalie from Nanit.
Hi everyone, how are you?
So, Dr. Natalie, do you want to give us just a really quick overview of your unreal career and what you're bringing to Nanit and your POV from what our audience can learn today?
Sure. Look, just to be completely honest, I've literally just stepped off a plane from New York an hour and a half ago, so I'm still a little bit, deer in the headlights. But I'm really excited to be here. I'm from Australia, as you can hear from my accent, but I've lived in the US for 24 years and have been at Nanit for the last 8. So I am part of the, I was there when we launched the camera right at the very beginning.
Wow.
And it really has been sort of a labor of love for all of us. In that, the Nanit camera it's really incredibly special in that it is an AI baby monitor that gives you, it analyzes sleep, it analyzes breathing, it analyzes a baby's height, it gives you all of this data and all of this information at your fingertips. And it's an incredibly,
this is the Nanit.
That's the Nanit. It's amazing. And this is also the Nanit here.
This is the Nanit on the stand.
So, and look, we launched in the US 8 years ago. It is incredibly popular in the US, and we only launched in Australia a couple of years ago. So we're still very new in the Australian market. And I know that Australian consumers are going to love the Nanit as much as the US consumer, and it's one of the reasons that I wanted to be here, just to tell everyone how amazing the Nanit camera is. So my role at Nanit, my background is in pediatric sleep, and so I lead the research team at Nanit. We work with universities and institutions all over the world who either use the Nanit camera or use the Nanit data in their research. So when we were developing the algorithms, 8 years ago, we worked very closely with pediatric sleep researchers, and we developed the algorithms in a way that we could replicate actigraphy. So actigraphy is, it's kind of like a Fitbit for a baby. If you are a pediatric sleep researcher, you would put an actigraph on a baby's ankle or a baby's wrist to measure their sleep. The Nanit algorithms do the same thing, but without any sensors or anything attached to the baby. So our algorithms have been validated by pediatric sleep researchers. We have published our validation studies, and now the camera and the Nanit camera is used by researchers all over the world. So the amazing thing for consumers is that they're getting research level data at their fingertips, in their pocket, on their phone. So the Nanit camera is connected to the Nanit app. Each night you will get a beautiful readout of your baby's sleep statistics. So you will see how long your baby slept for, how many times they woke up, how many times a parent went to them during the night, their sleep efficiency during the night. All of this amazing data you will get every morning, and it just gives parents confidence and empowers them to really make informed decisions about their baby's sleep. So we know that sleep is as important to a baby as nutrition and exercise. And so part of our core philosophy is that we really want families to understand that and really focus on their baby's sleep. And we really give them the tools to be able to do that. So not only do we then give them the sleep metrics, we then give them tips and recommendations to help improve their baby's sleep based on their individual personalized sleep data, which really is amazing as well.
That's really cool. So, that would be really helpful for for parents who maybe are a bit nervous when they have the first sleep, if they're breathing, or if you don't want to lay awake at night thinking is your baby not breathing or something like that.
100%.
That's really
100%. You know, it can be incredibly, anxiety provoking to bring a new baby home and to be putting it, to be putting a baby down to sleep for the first time. So we also have a product called breathing motion monitoring, where we have developed again with no sensors, with no electronics put on your baby. We have a textile product, so it's just a band that goes around your baby's chest and abdomen, and the camera sees the movement in the pixels of the print on the band, and then can tell you your baby's breathing rate over the night. So it's a really lovely feature for new parents. But one of the really lovely things about the Nanit is that you can see your baby from anywhere. So rather than having to go in and check the baby 10 times during the night, you can just pull out your phone, say, yep, I can see that they're okay, everything's fine, and just put your phone back down again, rather than going in and disturbing the baby and waking them up.
And you know what's so good about that, I find too, is that like everyone's on their phones these days, so it's not like you have to carry like a monitor around the house or whatever, like while you're doing the washing or whatever. You can literally probably have your phone in your back pocket.
It's just in your phone.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Which also makes going back to work easier as well. So, when we're sitting in meetings at work, we'll often have folks just pull up their phone, see that their baby's okay, and put their phone straight back down. Because that can be a really stressful time.
Totally.
Leaving your baby at home for the first time and really, transitioning back to work after having a baby really is incredibly stressful.
Totally.
And having the ability to just see your baby from your office, rather than sort of having to call whoever is at home every 5 minutes to check in on them, just makes it that much easier.
What's your favorite feature of the Nanit Pro?
Oh, okay. So a couple of things. One, I love all of the sleep metrics. Like just being able to objectively see exactly how well your baby is sleeping, I think really is phenomenal. And knowing how accurate the algorithms are, we're the only AI baby monitor that has algorithms that have been validated, that are used by sleep researchers. So just having that, research level data, access to that research level data really is, unparalleled. But we have a lot of really lovely other features, one of which is our split screen. So if you have more than one baby, if you have two babies, if you have three babies, you can see them all at once, on the screen. So rather than having to, have different devices or a switch between, different screens, it's all just in one screen in front of you. One other feature that I really love is our two-way audio feature. So you can actually talk to your baby through the camera, which means that if you've put your baby to bed, you can then perhaps, if they're still awake, you can perhaps sing them a lullaby, or you could. The other lovely thing about the two-way audio feature is that you can give access to grandparents or to aunties who are across the country to also talk to them. So, which is really lovely. So if, grandma is in Adelaide and you're in Melbourne, grandma can perhaps, read a bedtime story to them, which is really lovely, and they can know that voice and really have that really lovely connection with them.
If anybody has any questions about their features or anything like that, just drop a little comment and we will ask Dr. Natalie for you. I love that actually about that you can see everybody from everywhere, because when I lived overseas, I hadn't met my nephew yet, and so we would FaceTime a lot of the time. So it's probably like it'd be good if my sister had the Nanit, and then I would be able to see him sleeping. That's so good.
But also to that point, I just want everyone to know that the parents have complete control over who is able to access the camera. And there's lots of different settings that you can choose to determine who has access and when they have access and what different features they have access to. So, for example, you may not want your mother-in-law to see the live feed of your camera, but you may be fine for your mother-in-law to see the the nighttime summary, exactly what they did over the night. Or you may say, you know what, I'm happy for you to have access now for the next 30 minutes, but that's it. You know, you really are able to completely customize the, you know, the access that you give to people. One of the other things that I love about it is we have a lot of different you know, notifications that it can give you. So one of our newer features is our cry detection feature. So there's many times where, you know, a baby is, you know, making noises, they're cooing, they're gooing, they're garring, they're not necessarily, they're just, you know, chatting to themselves. They don't necessarily need you to go to them, but you may want to be alerted as to when they're crying. So we have algorithms that can specifically detect when the baby is crying, and they will alert you to the fact that your baby is crying, which is really a really nice feature for a lot of parents.
Yeah, that is really good. So how long does the data like stay? Like how much can you access, or like how long does it stay on your phone for, or on your profile?
It's a really great question. So it depends on your subscription levels. So we have varying subscriptions from, you can keep the data for 2 days, or you can keep the data unlimited. For forever.
Oh, so, wow, that's really good. So then you can go back and check. I suppose it'd also be good to, like if you had to take it to the doctors for breathing or whatever, that would be another good.
It's actually, it's incredibly helpful if you're taking your baby to the doctor, so that you can show them, perhaps you can show them on average how long they've been sleeping. You know, over because the doctor is always going to ask you how's the baby sleeping. You go, I'll show you how the baby's sleeping. My baby is sleeping on average at 11 and a half hours a night, and here is the proof.
Wow, so, 11 and a half hours, that's more than I get. That's so good.
It's really nice.
And so the Nanit insights into your sleep, I think that's really important for new parents and for grandparents and stuff like that. Because then what I think you can really go into is, and because I'm not a mum, so you will definitely know this more than I will, but when you start to transition like to sleep train and that sort of thing, are these the kind of insights that you would like need to look at? Absolutely.
It can be incredibly helpful when you're starting to sleep train your baby. And look, and depending on your baby and depending on what your doctor recommends and what you feel comfortable with, you know, some people will start sleep training between 4 and 6 months, others will start sleep training a little bit later. And also too, to be really clear, a lot of babies don't even need to be sleep trained. You know, when you are, and particularly with our babies, when we're giving folks, we're sending them tips and recommendations, you know, every couple of days, so that they are already putting a lot of focus and a lot of emphasis on sleep, and so they're really helping, you know, helping establish healthy sleep habits really early on, because they're getting a lot of this sleep education through the app, and so they really understand the importance of sleep and the importance of, you know, setting up your baby's environment so that it's conducive to sleep. And when you can, you know, set your baby up for success like that, you know, very often babies don't necessarily need to be sleep trained. They will learn how to sleep, you know, fairly quickly. That said, some babies learn how to sleep sort of fairly naturally and easily. Other babies really need sort of dedicated time and dedicated effort to learn how to sleep. And for those babies, when we're thinking about sleep training, the Nanit can be incredibly helpful, because it can be really easy to track that objective improvement in sleep over time. So you can say, okay, even though, you know, it felt like, you know, my baby cried forever that night, it was actually only 6 minutes, and it was 6 minutes last night, and it was only 3 minutes tonight. And that's amazing. And you can see that my baby's gone from sleeping, you know, 10 hours a night to now sleeping 12 hours a night, and instead of waking up 10 times, they're waking up 3 times. So just being able to objectively track that improvement over time, you know, is incredibly helpful to families, which is lovely.
We've got a few questions.
Okay, great.
So at what age should a baby start sleeping through the night?
So it's a great question, and it really depends a lot on the baby. Some babies will sleep through the night, you know, at around 4 months. Other babies won't start sleeping through the night until sort of, you know, perhaps closer to 9 or 10 months. That said, you know, look, a baby is going to need, a certain number of calories in a 24-hour period. If they're not getting all of those calories during the day, they're going to need some of those calories at nighttime. So somewhere between 4 and 6 months, I really love to encourage families to be trying to, increase the number of calories their babies are getting during the day so that they can naturally, gradually cut down those calories at nighttime, getting to a point where the babies don't need to be eating at nighttime. That said, if we're thinking about having your baby sleep through the night, the most important thing that you can do is have your baby fall asleep by themselves at the beginning of the night in their crib or in their cot. So once they can do that, once they have mastered that, it's going to be much easier for them to fall back to sleep when they wake up during the night, because a lot of babies will then wake up not necessarily because they're hungry, but because they're needing something that they can't get for themselves, and it's harder for them to get themselves back to sleep. That said, all babies wake up during the night. So it's really normal for babies to wake up during the night. But a lot of babies know how to get themselves back to sleep. And so that's the main skill that we want to be teaching them, is falling asleep by themselves at the beginning of the night is going to mean that it's going to be much easier for them those times that they do wake up during the night to get themselves back to sleep.
So what I'm hearing is it's not just a baby monitor, it's a whole experience and a whole education piece.
It really is.
We have another question from Sarah. The main difference in the Nanit products, and can you take them away traveling?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we have 3 different mounts. We have our floor stand behind us. We have a wall mount that actually attaches to the wall, and then we have our travel stand. So the floor stand and the wall mount, you will get your sleep analytics with those 2 mounts. With the travel stand, you will not. So you won't get sleep analytics on the travel stand, but so the travel stand is perfect for traveling, as in it's a perfect sort of temporary use case for when you're not necessarily needing your sleep analytics. But the floor stand and the wall mount are the stands that we recommend to get the benefit of the sleep analytics, which are really invaluable in my opinion.
So we have S has just said, how often should a baby be having feeds at night? This is my first, so very new at this. Oh, congrats. And then she asked another question. Is the monitor connected via Wi-Fi? Is it safe from hackers?
A great question. Yes. So first of all, I would talk to your doctor about how often your baby needs to eat overnight. Most often, in those first couple of months, babies are going to be eating sort of fairly regularly around the clock, every 2.5 to 3 hours. At some point, your doctor will say, it's okay, you don't have to wake your baby to feed. They may say that when you leave the hospital, they may say that after a week, they may not say that until after a month or 2. So if your doctor is saying you don't need to wake your baby at night to feed, your baby might start to do a 3-hour stretch or a 4-hour stretch, or even if you're lucky, a 5-hour stretch overnight, which is amazing. But it really depends on the baby and where, how old your baby is and at what stage they are. But if we could, the main thing that would like to think about is that I don't want your baby to be feeding more often at night than they are during the day. So if they're feeding every 3 hours during the day, I don't want them to then be feeding every 2 hours at nighttime, right? So if they're feeding every 3 hours during the day, they should be able to go at least every 3 hours at nighttime. So that would be the only sort of thing that I would add. And in terms of the question about Wi-Fi and hackers, so I just wanted to let you know that we have 256-bit encryption, which is bank level encryption. We also have 2-factor authentication. So you have to have, there's a multi-factor authentication process to sign up to Nanit. And so we know that we have never been hacked. So with those levels of security literally is the number one thing that we think about at Nanit. Privacy is our most important thing, and so it's something that we spend a lot of time and a lot of money, perfecting, and we know that we have the highest level of, of security of all of the baby monitors out there.
Perfect. I wanted to talk to you about the light and the sound feature.
Sure.
So we have the sound machine and the light. So 11 soothing sounds for every routine.
Yeah. So we have
that is cool.
It is actually really cool, and we haven't got it here, but we have a new product which is our. Oh, we do have one. Okay. So we have our new Nanit sound and light machine, which offers lots of different, white noise features, or actually lots of different noise features, I should say, not only white noise, and lots of different colors. And also we have a feature called Smart Routines, so that you can sort of set a routine with your sound and light machine to your particular bedtime routine. So for example, you could have, it could be that for the, during the bedtime routine, you have the light machine on sort of a soft yellow color and playing lullaby sounds, and then when you put the baby to bed, it transitions to having the light off and having a white noise sound. The other amazing thing about it is that we then have an okay to wake feature. So for our toddlers and older kids who are still using the camera, 70% of our families are still using the camera when their baby is age 4. So this really has this product really has an incredibly long life. So it's not just something that you would use for the first 3 or 6 months. You're going to use this for the first 4 or 5 years of your child's life. Yeah. So the okay to wake feature is really amazing for our older kids, where if they are waking up a little bit earlier in the morning, and as it's getting lighter outside, as summer comes, that sunlight can be waking them up a little bit earlier. And it can be great to have that light there that can change to a particular color. You can change the color, you can choose the color, you can make it completely personalized, so that your child knows that they're not climbing out of the bed until that color changes to the okay to wake color.
Yeah, nice. We just have another question. If traveling, is it easy to connect your Nanit, especially with hotel grade Wi-Fi? Oh, great question.
So it is a great question. So we have the Nanit will only connect to a secure Wi-Fi network. So if the hotel has a secure Wi-Fi network, you'll be able to connect to it. Yeah.
Cool. And then another question from S. Does the Nanit have a portable screen, or is it just connected to a phone app?
Great question. We don't have a separate screen. We just have the phone app. Because everyone's on their phones. We don't want people to be having to carry 2 devices with them. Totally. Everything's just on their phone, and it just makes it that much easier for them. So that said, we do have an iPad app, and we also have an Android app. So you could have it, if you wanted it on a separate device, you could have it on an iPad or on an Android tablet if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's really great. So, I mean, what I love about that is that you can just, so when you have the app, and you said before that you can monitor who views the content.
Yep.
Do they have to have the app on their phone as well?
Oh, they do. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great.
And you as the parent have to give them
access,
permission, to look at the app.
Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah. So you have to invite them to be a user. So they can't. So it can't be. Grandma can't just decide that she wants to look at your camera. You have to invite Grandma to look at your camera. Yes.
Cool. And can my partner use it at the same time as well on the app? Oh, yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's really great.
Yep. And that's a good question.
Yeah, and what other features do you love? Because I want to know, so with this one you were talking through the difference between these two before.
Yeah.
So would you recommend having both or just one? You just need one?
It's a great question. I recommend having this for home and this stand for when you travel. Now, the camera just comes off, so you just need one camera, but you need this separate stand. So the stand is relatively inexpensive. I don't want you to buy 2 cameras, I just want you to buy 2 stands. So you will, this just clicks on and off. that just clicks on, and so that if you're leaving home, you would pull that off and then just put it onto your travel stand.
that's very cool.
And it goes with you.
And so if you had them so say you wouldn't use them both at the same time.
You wouldn't use them both at the same time, but that said, you might do. It could be that you have this one in your, 6-year-old's playroom, so that you're seeing where the 6-year-old is playing, and you have this one over the baby's crib. That way, you're in the kitchen. You can see both. You can see the 6-year-old, doing quietly playing in their playroom, and you can see the baby.
Yeah, awesome.
Can you see the baby asleep? So there's lots of different use cases for this stand, for sure.
I just want to interrupt this program and just let everybody know that we have actually a Nanit giveaway. So you could win a Nanit Pro monitor set and a one-on-one consultation with Dr. Natalie here. So after this live, we will post this on the Memo's TikTok, and then you just comment your baby's age. It would be really awesome. And then if you just tag a friend or anything like that and follow the Nanit AU Australia and the Memo's TikTok, I'll put all this in afterwards so you guys can follow along. But that would be awesome. You can win a floor stand and a consultation. So
Amazing.
S wants to have a look at the floor stand. So we're just gonna grab our little contraption over here.
And what I can do is pull it off and show. So this then comes off like that.
Oh yeah, great.
And then we just pop it back on like that.
So it's not like, it's actually, and it's so chic too, like,
it's lovely.
if you've seen any sort of photos that you see online on social media, it really blends in really well with like the walls and stuff like that, so it's not like a really gigantic baby monitor, which is nice for the aesthetic girlies. Perfect. Cool, and then can you show us what the floor, oh yeah, we've just done that, great, thanks. Does the camera need to be charged?
No, it doesn't. No, it connects to, it plugs into the wall.
Yeah, plugs into the wall. And then does the camera move around like 360 degrees?
It does not. No, well, you can physically move it, but it doesn't have a pan and tilt function.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If anybody has any other questions, just let us know. And then some really cool research stats that we have here. If you want to go through them, Dr. Natalie.
Sure.
That's a great one.
Yeah, so like as I mentioned before, we know that almost 70% of our families are still using the camera after 4 years. So it just means that even though I know that it feels like a fairly high price point, at the outset, but this is going to last you for 4 or 5 or even 6 years. We know that families are using this for really a long time. So you're really getting good bang for your buck. It's not just something that you use for the first couple of months. And we know that our families are using the app for hours and hours during the day, which is great in that they're really able to feel very connected to their babies and be able to see their, like I said, see their baby from anywhere. But in terms of the, my role and our research team, there's no other company who has a research team like ours or has the algorithms validated to be able to be used as a research tool. So the camera is used by pediatric sleep researchers all over the world. So I want families to know that they are literally getting research grade sleep data every night in their pocket. It's just, it's incredibly accurate. And the insights that you get are very actionable. So you can say, okay, I tried this, it didn't work so well. Maybe I'll try something else. But also too, as I said before, just being able to objectively see that improvement in sleep over time is really empowering. We also know that our parents report being twice as confident in managing their baby's sleep than non-Nanit users. So we know that we're giving folks just incredibly valuable content
Yeah.
and
Stats and stuff so they can.
a lot of information
Yeah.
that they wouldn't be getting otherwise,
Yeah.
that really helps them feel empowered, helps them really understand their baby's sleep, know what their baby is doing, and just, feel confident in managing their baby's sleep. We also know that our babies sleep about an hour longer per night than non-Nanit babies.
Yeah. And I
which
think
is also amazing.
I think also too what's so good about that is that, like, if I'd imagine, again, I'm not a mum, but I'd imagine you'd be very tired a lot of the time too if you're trying to, like,
tired a lot
so
of the
like
time.
you're probably not gonna remember how many hours I slept like a couple of days
Exactly.
ago. So then, and like instead of write it down on a piece of paper and a pen, like at least like this is all there for you, which is so good.
Exactly. So when I had my babies, which was I've got 3 boys, which was a long time ago, I wrote everything down on a piece of paper, which you don't have to do with this. So the other thing that we have just launched in the last few months is our care logs, which actually give you the ability to log all of their feeds and nappy changes, as well as then then you have the sleep from the Nanit as well. So it really just gives you this really lovely sort of full overview. You can say how many mils they had from their bottle, how long you pumped for, whether it was a breastfeed or a bottle feed, whether it was a
wow.
And track their nappy changes as well. So it's a really lovely feature.
That's great. I just want to say again, if you have just joined the live, welcome. Just doing a giveaway. So after this live, we will upload this onto the Memo's TikTok, and you can go in the draw to win a Nanit Pro monitor set and a one-on-one online coaching session with Dr. Natalie. All you need to do is comment your baby's age. If you want to add in there like any sleep issues that they're having, that would be great, and we can shoot them off to Nanit and Dr. Natalie to have a bit of a look through. And make sure you just follow Nanit Australia and the Memo TikToks. We just have a question here from Claudia. What's your favourite sleep insight?
Oh.
On the spot.
So, honestly, my favourite thing is being able to see how long a baby slept for overnight, on average for a week or for a month, and just being able to see that sort of longitudinal change really is, and just see how your baby is progressing and growing, and it just feels really great to see that your baby is gradually just sleeping more and more, which is awesome.
I could imagine like when you're probably like so tired and you're like, what is going on? And then you start to see maybe like in 3 months time when you're like, there's no end in sight, you can probably start to see and you're like, when? That's so good.
And you can also look back to 2 months ago and go, oh my God, how did I survive all these wake-ups? Because once you're out of that phase, like once they start sleeping through the night, like it's really hard to go back. And you can't imagine going back. But when you're in it, you're just sort of up,
and you can,
all
like,
the time.
And if you've had like really bad sleep, you could be like, oh, that's when they were sick or like whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then one more question: can this help parents sleep or ...
That's a great question. It definitely can help parents sleep because, for lots of reasons, but it just gives you the confidence to know that you will be alerted if your baby needs you. So if your baby is crying, we will tell you that your baby is crying. And also too, you don't have to, and you can just literally just pick up the phone and see if your baby needs you, or if your baby is okay, rather than having to sort of physically get up, walk to the bedroom, and then walk back. It's much easier on your sleep if you're able to just look at the phone, put it back down, and go straight back to sleep, rather than having to sort of wake up, get up, stand up, and then walk into the room and then come back. So it definitely helps parents sleep for sure.
Aim says, I've heard about sleep regression. What is that?
Great question. So, look, we are really trying to move away from the term sleep regression, honestly, because Look, very often a baby's sleep will be disrupted, but very often it's because they're developing, not necessarily because they're regressing. And I feel like regression just has this sort of negative connotation, and we want to try and flip it to help parents understand that for sure their sleep may be disrupted, but most often it's because they are developing and that they're sort of either about to reach a milestone or they're going through this a sort of a transition phase, and most often those sleep disruptions usually only last for a few days. So, for example, as your baby's sleep starts to become more consolidated, as they start to roll over, when they start to sit, when they start to crawl, when they start to pull to stand, when they start to walk, when they start to talk, all of these things can really disturb a baby's sleep. And so knowing that, a sleep disruption should only last for a few days can mean that it can help you feel more empowered, that you don't need to necessarily do anything differently. Maybe just sort of respond as you normally would. But for the most part, we want to try and be giving our babies the opportunity to get themselves back to sleep, so that this sleep disruption doesn't become sort of a long-term sleep disruption. We want that sleep disruption to be only lasting a couple of days. We don't want it to be lasting months. So know that these sleep disruptions are really normal, but they should only last a few days, and you should be able to get your baby back on track pretty quickly.
Awesome. Amanda, so how you enter the comp is after this live, the Memo will upload it onto the Memo's TikTok, and then all you need to do is like a comment in there, just your baby's age, and if you wanted to ask any sleep questions, that's totally fine. Make sure you follow the Nanit Australia TikTok and the Memo TikTok account, and we will be announcing the winners on Monday. So this coming Monday, what's the date on Monday?
Today's Tuesday.
No, but next Monday.
Oh.
Next Monday.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we're announcing it on Monday, so we'll slide into your DMs and let you know. So make sure you've got a long time, so make sure that you comment and like on this live once it's uploaded. So if there's no other questions, we might thank Dr. Natalie for her time today going through the Nanit.
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye.